Jersey to Jersey, Pretoria to Tennessee. Back up the bucky man. The car guards arrive. Ba-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da. They cross the ocean with a suitcase dream, escaping blackout nights and a failing scheme. Touchdown wide-eyed under neon glow. Yeah, I mean the lights stay on all night long, from Cape Town flats to the Midwest snow. Learning fast where the cold winds blow. No more generators rattling in the dark. Now every street light shining in the park. Strong percussion rolling like the train of fate. New great trek through the departure gate. People mock them back across the sea, but now they live in large in Tennessee. VK laugh and point the finger. Just car guard, she say with vigor. Simple people, no big degree, but the hustle talk louder than pedigree. Car guards in the USA, working hard every night and day. From the bright fire to the interstate, building new dreams in another state. Car guards in the USA, one section make the whole world sway. Skip to right past the FEMA line, now they sipping sweet tea, feeling fine. Tents would be the scene, rows of canvas on the TV screen, but them stories fade when the truth arrive. South Africans out there thriving alive. Apartments first, then houses neat. Pick up trucks parked down the street. Kids in school and bills all paid. Fresh new roots begin to get laid. Bormaises dancing at the cookout flame, trying hard to pronounce Chick-fil-A names. Robots now are traffic lights, not little gadgets blinking at night. Bright smoke drifting through the air, neighbors asking what you're cooking here. Built on words and reggae beat, bassline rolling down the street. Backies become pickup trucks, still complaining about bad road luck. But compared to potholes back in Jersey town, the smooth highway never let them down. Car guards in the USA, turning struggle into better days. Laughing loud while the critics moan, making foreign places feel like home. Car guards in the USA, ANC tax base fade away. Every worker that depart the show leaves another crack in the old front door. Doctors, welders, coders too. Farmers learning something new. Not everybody drove the tractor line, despite what papers try to find. Some clean cars and guarded malls, some answered business office calls, but every one of them came to survive, and now they're watching dreams arrive. Guards in the USA, rhythm of the new great track today. From the Deville to Arkansas, still got boy rhythm in the heart. Yeah, car guards in the USA, hear the brass band proudly play. They said the migrants wouldn't last, now the car guards getting the last laugh. Funny thing about survival, boss, never underestimate the people who know how to hustle.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Friday, May 22nd, 2026. Murders in South Africa. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Be careful out there, ladies and gentlemen. Murder still the capital of the world. Well, I don't know. Maybe Honduras is still the capital, murder capital of the world. But South Africa, up there with Jamaica and Honduras, shocking number of murders. And they tell us that the number of murders is declining annually. But that's poppycock. It's simply quarterly statistics. And 500 fewer people were murdered in the first quarter while the South African National Defense Force was out on the streets. And they're going to say that things have gone down by 10%. Perhaps they have, perhaps they haven't. Nonetheless, 5,200 South Africans have lost their lives in the first 3 months of this year, including farmers, women, students, go-go's, smacked over the head with a plank and then drowned to death for being a witch. This is South Africa in the 21st century. The African National Congress has overseen the murder of more citizens by a factor of at least 20 to 30, most likely, over the entire number of deaths that occurred during the entire apartheid era by state authorities. 27,000 murders per year in South Africa, a shocking figure of a country of just 63 million people. 5,180 plus South Africans lost their lives violently between January and March. And we're supposed to be happy about that. No, we're not. Not at all. South Africa needs to clean up its act. It needs to prosecute the offenders. It needs to incarcerate the criminals. Until this happens, nothing will ever change. South Africa continues to be a violent society. Despite improvements, South Africans remain under siege from violent crime, says Darlene James, a member of Parliament for Action SA. Action SA welcomes a reduction in South Africa's murder rate, reflected in SAP's crime stats from January to March, released today by Acting Police Minister Firoz Chichala. However, South Africans continue to endure horrific levels of violence and crime. The reality that 58 people are murdered every day, while 140 cases of sexual assault are reported daily, cannot fully capture the trauma and fear experienced by communities across the country. No, it cannot. It cannot express or capture the fear of families who wake up in the middle of the night with intruders in their home, armed, seeking to rape, murder, and torture them before they murder them. Yeah, I didn't see that, Corey, about Paul Mashatile making that claim. People said he did, but I didn't get that. I read a very long and boring article. Paul Mashatile is the very embodiment of the ANC's race hustling, and it will be their downfall. And the Action SA remains particularly concerned by persistent gang-related murders in the Western Cape and the Cape Flats, with three of the country's top murder stations located in the city: Umfaleti, Delft, and Guguletu. 93% of the country's gang-related murders occurred in the Western Cape. Yeah, there's a reason for that, because the ANC encouraged the flood of people into the Cape Flats, and that's what caused it. 546 fewer lives lost through murder in the first quarter, but still 5,200 South Africans murdered. The figures we present today are not just numbers. They're a stark mirror held up to society. Behind every statistic is a traumatized victim, a distraught family, a community living in fear. Nationally, violent crimes known as contact crimes dropped by 4.6%. But here's the thing. A lot of South Africans are murdered and it's never reported. Bodies just disappear. 58 people per day murdered in South Africa. Carjacking was down 20%. Here are where the murders occur. Gauteng gets the most. They keep going on about the Western Cape, but most of the murders occur in Gauteng, which makes sense. It's the most densely populated part of the country. Gauteng and KZN account for 44% of all murders, those two provinces. Yet they're harping about the Western Cape. Still harping about the Western Cape. Murder cases down by 10%. Most of them occur in 4 provinces. Eastern Cape had the highest per capita murder rate of 14.3 murders per 100,000 people. That is shocking. 14 per 100,000 people are murdered. Turn your attention to these shores. Rolf Meyer, the Thuraya, as many South Africans call him, is now here in America. The man who betrayed South Africa's democracy along with Cyril Ramaphosa, selling South Africans down the river to a fake pseudo-democratic system that denies people the right to elect their representatives and gives them no recourse when corrupt political parties continue to return convicted criminals to parliament, to provincial legislatures, and to municipal councils. Rolf Meyer. The Faraya Rolf Meyer and Cyril Ramaphosa is now an ambassador in Washington, D.C., where the media seems to think this will change the narrative and it will fix South Africa-U.S. relations. But it will not. It will not change anything. But he did say he was warmly welcomed by President Trump, and he was welcomed just a few days after arriving in America, unlike Ambassador Bozell, who was forced to wait 6 weeks because Ramaphosa couldn't be bothered to take him in and give him his credentials. I'm just back from the White House now as we speak. The reception was warm. It was, of course, a formal ceremony. He was one of 12 ambassadors received by Trump yesterday. We handed our credentials from our respective heads of state to President Trump. It was a very pleasant experience. It was very cordial. The content is not what is important at this stage, but rather the fact that we officially entered now the phase of representing South Africa in a formal way. The work now starts. The new ambassador, who's 78 years old, arrived on Monday, just days before he was sworn in, unlike the 6-week wait that we had to endure for Brent Bozell. No golf, but Rolf Meyer, South Africa's new ambassador to the U.S., will walk the course, says Victoria Regan and Peter Fabricius, two of the better journalists in South Africa. Veteran political negotiator Rolf Meyer presented his credentials to President Trump Thursday, making him the new South African ambassador at a time when political relations between the two countries had been frosty. The 78-year-old replaced Ibrahim Rasool after more than a year of tension between Pretoria and Washington that followed Trump's return to the White House. Actually, that's true, but not completely accurate. The tension has been boiling since 2001. Let's be honest about that and stop misleading people. Speaking to SABC's Oliver Dixon after presenting his credentials, we were altogether 12 ambassadors from different countries who were here today. Yep. Pressed for details of the ceremony, Meyer added, Trump did ask whether I'm playing golf, which unfortunately I'm not, but I promised I would walk with him if he's prepared to take me along. I have a question. What is that flag that is on the left-hand side? That doesn't look like a South African flag.
Back from the White House as we speak now.
What is that flag? Is that the South African flag? Can someone identify it? Is that the South African flag? It doesn't look like a South African flag. Just curious. He has a tough row to hoe, though. International Relations Cooperation Minister Ronald Lamola confirmed the Maverick earlier this week that Meyer had arrived in the U.S. and would present his credentials. Asked by the Daily Maverick if things were looking up for the U.S.-South Africa relationship, he said, we think there's a positive signal, including the process of him presenting his credentials. And you're aware we've also accepted the accreditation of the ambassador in South Africa. Those aren't positive signals. Those are minimal requirements under Vienna Conventions. You have no basis to reject our ambassador. We had no basis to reject your ambassador. Therefore, they've both been received. But that doesn't change the fact that your racist laws impoverish minority South Africans. It doesn't change the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that South Africa undermines U.S. national interest at every turn. It doesn't change the fact that they impose outrageous tariffs on U.S. products, ban our goods and services from coming to the country, while letting Chinese crap flood into the country left and right. South Africa's car market will one day be 60% Chinese at the rate things are going. The ANC is eyeing a comeback in the Western Cape with mayoral candidates free of scandal. The ANC thinks they can come back in the Western Cape with a candidate not tainted by scandal. Hello, ANC. It's not just corruption. People aren't just tired of your corruption. They're tired of your incompetence and your racist laws. Black, white, and brown South Africans are sick of it. Black South Africans know they've lost their jobs because you've destroyed white-owned businesses in your pursuit of theft of resources from people that you hate, that you call colonizers in your racist language. Where is the South African Captured Human Rights Commission? Every time Julius Malema uses the word colonizers, it's a racist slur against whites when it's used in that context. The colonizers are the Nguni-speaking peoples and the Europeans. They're the colonizers. They crossed Limpopo 1,600 years ago and obliterated the indigenous population of southern Africa. And the whites came in 1652 for permanent residence. Every time Joseph Malema used the term colonizers, he does it in a racist fashion. Not one complaint to the captured South African Human Rights Commission. Not a single one. No. But the ANC thinks that all they have to do is present people who aren't criminals and people will vote for you. They don't get it. They don't get it. And that's fine. They will be obliterated in the Western Cape. As the PA rises, Freedom Front Plus rises, and the DA dithers, the ANC will be crushed in the Western Cape. The ANC of the Western Cape has begun an internal process to identify potential mayoral candidates ahead of this year's local government elections as the party attempts to rebuild after years of electoral decline in a province long dominated by the DA. So you think all it takes is an honest candidate. In 2000 local government elections, they secured 77 seats in the Cape Town Council. Today, they hold 43. And it's probably going to be 23 after the next election. Cyril Ramaphosa's impeachment probe risks stalling before it starts, says Kamagilo Mochela. Political parties have until May 22nd to submit the names of MPs. That's today who will serve on the committee. The DA has already done so. MPs have warned that the inquiry risks being dragged out for months before any evidence is heard. Why? Despite pressure to move quickly, MPs say Parliament is now trapped in arguments over rules, procedures, and legal processes. As I said, Cyril Ramaphosa will skate justice. Where is the criminal prosecution for money laundering, perversion of the means of justice, or ends of justice, kidnapping, torture, bribery, and lies by the SAPs. Ramaphosa told Parliament that he was going to court, but he hasn't asked for anything. What's going on here? Look at that poor lady starving to death. Toko Didiza. Boy, she really, really needs to be excused. Somebody please donate some money. Can we get a Back a Buddy program to feed Toko Didiza? She's starving. Look at that, man. Poor lady. Poor lady just doesn't have anything to eat. There she is, that lovely traditional outfit on, but she is suffering. She's got nothing to eat there. National Assembly Speaker Toko Didiza said President Ramaphosa has not asked Parliament to stop impeachment proceedings, but merely informed her of his intention to approach the courts. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm initiating a Back a Buddy program, a campaign, to raise money for the Speaker of the National Assembly, Toko Didiza. Clearly, her salary is insufficient to meet her daily nutritional needs. It's a tragedy of epic proportions when members of Parliament can't get enough to eat. It is a sad day indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, Toko Didiza, if you would help me raise money on Back a Buddy to help her get more food. Obviously, she's going without food. She's starving. Poor lady. What a tragedy. Maybe we can just get her some pop. Maybe a little bit of boerewors every now and then. She's obviously suffering from malnutrition. It's a tragedy of epic proportions. Really sad. Really sad. No fuel. No flights. Pilots sent home. No money for the South African National Defense Force. And ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a mistake. This isn't an oversight. This, despite members of Parliament now claiming this is a disaster, this was intentional. The sabotage, turning a credible military force into a joke while pilfering billions of rand in people's pocket through the arms deal, enriching Cyril Ramaphosa, Shabir Sheikh, and countless others, none of whom have been prosecuted. The destruction of the South African National Defense Force was intentional. It was done on purpose. It was done by design, not through simple lack of funding. It was done on design. Promoting people who are unqualified simply based on their skin color over people who are qualified led to dissension in the ranks, poor discipline, poor training, poor performance, and the destruction of the most credible military on the continent of Africa. South Africa's military air capability has suffered another major blow after the South African National Defense Force's aging fleet of Oryx helicopters effectively grounded due to fuel shortages and worsening budget constraints. Only one Oryx remains operational in the entire country. Revelations came as Parliament heard fierce criticism this week over the state of SANDF during the 2026-27 budget vote debate, where MPs across the political spectrum warned that the country's defense force was still in visible decline. Thanks, Mike, for that 30 or 100 Rand super chat. Multiple SANDF sources told IOL that operations within the Air Force have deteriorated to the point where personnel are unable to fly because there's no Jet A1 fuel available at several bases, while some facilities are reportedly struggling even to keep generators running. 17 Squadron has been closed for more than a month due to lack of diesel for the generators. Staff check in on Mondays, then leave at 9 o'clock. The rest of the time, they work from home. All the Oryx pilots in the country are in Pretoria for an ops camp with one Oryx, only one in the country. The Oryx helicopters, one South Africa's primary workhorse, have been used extensively for troop transport, border safeguarding, disaster relief, medical evacuation, search and rescue, and support to police operations. Bloemfontein doesn't have a diesel or Jet A1. No flying can take place. 4 Squadron had to bring drums of diesel along from Pretoria for the Bowser to be able to get fuel to get back to Pretoria. This is shocking, except it's not. There is your minister of 15%. 15%. And this is South Africa. Well, folks, most parties want to proceed with Palo Palo, but the ANC is in no rush. I'm coming just now. ANC says it will not rush impeachment proceedings against Cyril Ramaphosa, focusing on amending National Assembly rules in line with the Constitutional Court ruling. Of course they won't rush, because they don't want him removed. I hope he's prosecuted after he leaves office. Dead dairy workers found in milk cooling tank in Umansdorp. What the heck? Police retrieved the bodies of 2 men from a tank on a farm in Umansdorp. Were they going to blame it on white people now? What's going on there? The bodies of 2 dairy farm workers were recently discovered in a milk cooling tank on a dairy farm in Umansdorp. Police spokesman Captain Marius McCarthy said the joint recovery operation was performed at 4:30. The South African Police Service Search and Rescue Unit jointly launched a rescue operation with Umansdorp EMS training, and Umansdorp Fire Rescue Unit. Wow. Unbelievable. Now they're finding bodies in dairy farm tanks. Gauteng Department has delayed the Charlotte Mekeksa Hospital repair after that 2021 fire. And they have no answer. Public Protector Koleka has found that the Gauteng Infrastructure Development Health Department's unduly delayed repairs at the hospital after a fire in 2021. They found persistent disputes between the two departments caused over 18 months of additional delays and constituted maladministration. Severe underspending also detailed in the report. 666 million rand was allocated for fire repairs, but only 49% of it was spent 3 years later. Wow. South Africa. The South African Human Rights Commission is investigating claims of hate speech by Dis-Chem investor Saltzman. Ooh, they're busy on that case. Dis-Chem shareholder Mark Saltzman has come under fire for making derogatory comments about journalist Redi Talibi. Well, let's be very clear about this. I saw the comments that were purportedly written. I saw screen captures written by Mr. Saltzman, and his conduct was reprehensible, calling her nasty names. What you can call her is what she is, a propagandist, a yellow journalist, an anti-American hater, and somebody who clearly doesn't like ethnic minorities. That's true about Redi Talibi. She lies with virtually every report she files. But calling her those nasty names is unacceptable, it's rude, and it's boorish. And Mr. Saltzman being investigated by the Human Rights Commission for calling her a B word, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. In a series of deleted posts on X, Saltzman called her a BIA during the social media dispute in response to her advocacy of Palestinian rights, further accusing Talibi of receiving funding from Qatar and his mother's Dis-Chem Foundation to spread misinformation. Saltzman was also accused by using an X platform without proof it's literally using K-word, but there's no proof of that. No one's got a screen capture. No, but he did write that. Anyway. So once again, an allegation because someone doesn't like him. Calling her names is wrong, but falsely accusing her of something he didn't do is bogus. Good morning. My wife, Christine, just passed her driver's license 5 minutes ago, being a safe. Oh, congratulations, Fonz. Welcome. Thank you. Hey, Erica, what's going on? Why are people still coming on this channel and typing in all caps? Do people just wake up and discover the internet today? My goodness. This is known to be rude for decades. Oh, Heidi gave €2.49. Salty Cracks Fund. Thank you, Heidi Kruger. Thank you. The euros are nice. We can't underplay this. Western Cape floods push wine farms to the breaking point. Many wine businesses and vineyards are in trouble. The damage from last week's devastating floods is only beginning to emerge now. Here's a photograph of Van Louvren after the floods. That is not good. You can see the vineyards are inundated there. Reports emerging from Breed Valley, Witzenberg, West Coast, Cedarburg, and Matsakama municipalities suggest the scale of the impact continues to widen. I'm so tired of this goodwill gospel. The old adage in Burma complaint is often celebrated as shorthand for resilience and ingenuity, but repeated often enough it can obscure deeper structural problems. Things people have quietly patched, absorbed, or cared for years, but which ultimately threaten the future in agriculture. Wow. Always drift. Look at that. Not good. Looting has also been reported in some of the affected areas, with roads washed away, communities left without electricity, several farms made difficult to access, and vulnerable criminal activity. Wow. Burma plan can only go so far, they say. Correct. Well, News 24 reports from Bloomberg how the U.S. has bullied Lesotho. No, I stand in stark disagreement with that. How the U.S. bullied Lesotho into a secretive New Deal from Bloomberg, who is an American-hating news outlet here in the U.S. On Friday last November, government officials representing Lesotho sat down in capital Maseru for 3 hours in negotiations with Trump administration officials. Earlier that year, the U.S. had suddenly canceled funding for health care programs in the country as part of billions of dollars in cuts in international aid. For Lesotho, 2.4 million people with the unhappy distinction of having the world's second highest HIV rate behind South Africa. And the fourth highest tuberculosis rate, the loss of support threatened thousands of lives. To unlock future fund, the U.S. wanted something back. So, Bloomberg is of the opinion, like these leftist refugee agencies, that it's our responsibility to take care of the world. It's not. It is not. Burying us in debt that our grandchildren will have to pay off so that people in Lesotho can learn how to behave properly and wear condoms is not our responsibility. Not our responsibility. But they seem to think it is Bloomberg. So the U.S. wanted something in return. Well, why is that not fair? We're just supposed to give away our national wealth and treasure and bury ourselves in debt for people in Lesotho who we don't even know? That's Bloomberg's approach. They're angry that the U.S. expected something in return. Well, we should get something in return. We should also get something in return for foreign aid to South Africa. We get nothing but abuse and attacks on our national sovereignty. While South Africa's government officials call, we are a sovereign nation. You don't respect our sovereignty. You raided our diplomatic site, knowing full well where it was at because we disclosed it to you, knowing full well the activity because we disclosed it to you, knowing full well that you lied and sent the denial for the appeal to work in South Africa for those Kenyans to your high commission in Kenya, knowing full well the Kenyans wouldn't know it. Then you could pretend that you raided and arrested illegal aliens. You are liars, liars, liars. Your pants are on fire so badly that your testicles are poached. The United States wanted something. Previous U.S. assistance came with few strings. No strings, actually, and never including commercial terms. Those now include preferential consideration for U.S. partnerships, technology, equipment, and supplies, demand that U.S. regulatory approvals for drugs be recognized by Lesotho, and tax exemption for companies carrying work paid for by the U.S. Well, that seems very reasonable. You want the money, you want the assistance, we want something in return. Hey, Veroshka, how you doing today? Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's some good news from South Africa. The beekeeping industry has new players, non-traditional, historically disadvantaged actors in the bee market. The bee kingdom is led by women. We can't keep assuming men lead it. Okay, that's just stupid. I love how this thing's always become about gender. So says Lulu Letlape, founder of Bongi Bees. She's one of a new generation of women entrepreneurs quietly reshaping South Africa's most overlooked agriculture sector. On May 20, South Africa joined the rest of the world in marking World Bee Day, an annual United Nations recognized observes dedicated to raising awareness about the essential role bees and other pollinators play in food security, biodiversity, and sustainable livelihoods. So, her path to beekeeping began not with ambition, but with survival. In 2016, a serious autoimmune diagnosis brought her corporate career to an abrupt halt. She left the city and moved to a farm in Pretoria. A friend suggested she visit a beekeeping operation as a chance to expand her mind and learn about new things. She was inspired to start her own apiary. Her apiary has now gone from 5 hives to 100, and she's looking at 500 within 3 years. She wants to upgrade to commercial operations. She's also training the next wave of women beekeepers. Around 20 women in Gauteng and 20 in Northwest have come through her program. For Lelape, the structure of the hive itself is part of the lesson. The bee kingdom is led by women. And when trainees understand that the queen is the center of everything, something shifts in how they see themselves. God bless, I swear. People are so they feel so inferior. Anyway, so here's her bee, Bongi Bees. There's her honey that she sells. Yep. And then you have Dawn Noemdo, founder of Honey at Dawn, second chapter in her life. There she is, Dawn, with one of the frames with wax on it. Beekeeping. Good stuff. I still have to edit those videos from last year that were never edited, was promised for me, about beekeeping in Stanford. Well, freed Gaza flotilla members make outlandish claims that seem implausible, but nonetheless they made the claims. They claim the Israelis abused them, and including raping them. Why would anyone want to rape these losers? Activists have alleged abuse, sexual assault, and beatings by Israeli authorities after the flotilla interception. No one has been able to verify any of these allegations. 15 have reported sexual assaults, including rape. Israeli forces arrested 430 of these interlopers on 50 ships in international waters on Tuesday. At least 15 cases of sexual assaults, including rape, shot with rubber bullets at close range, tens of people's bones broken, organized the global Sumid flotilla posted on their Telegram. That, on her back, would be the result of rubber bullets. Sabrina Cherikov, organized return of 37 French citizens, told Reuters 5 French citizens have been hospitalized in Turkey, some with broken bones and fractured vertebrae. If there's any merit to this, it should be fully investigated and any transgressors prosecuted. However, these people have no business doing what they're doing. Franco, thank you for the 35 Rand super sticker. The DRC protesters have torched the places to end Ebola. Stupid acts by stupid people. Protesters set fire to tents for Ebola patients after DRC authorities refused to give them the body of a victim they wanted to bury themselves, a beloved local footballer suspected to have died in the ongoing outbreak. So they want to spread the virus down. These stupid people really are a problem. The family of footballer Eli Mungunu Wangu refused a safe burial for him, disputed the virus had killed him, and demanded to take his body. Authorities buried him overnight Friday despite his family's protests. So they torched all the tents. Stupid people. Really, really stupid people. World Health Organization's chief says the Ebola outbreak is spreading rapidly and upgrades risk to assessment. Oh, here we come with Tedros' latest scam. Yep. Ebola all over the world. Watch it. Yep. The WHO chief noted 82 cases have been confirmed in DRC with 7 confirmed deaths, but we know the epidemic in DRC is much larger. At least 750 suspected cases and 177 suspected deaths. The United Nations gave $60 million from its Central Emergency Response Fund to accelerate response in Congo. The U.S. has pledged $23 million in funding to bolster the response. So once again, we are paying for Africa's mistakes. $23 million coming from our pockets to fund this. Well, where is this taking place? In the worst place it could possibly take place, in Ituri province, right next to the conflict in Uganda and Rwanda. The region of eastern DRC where Ebola broke out has made the virus difficult to contain. Yes, consumed by conflict, this is where it's at. Uganda directly adjacent to it, and Rwanda just below it. The number of suspected and confirmed deaths is already among the highest in any outbreak in Congo's history, and they expect the toll to rise. Look how close this is to Kampala, where I used to live. That's why when I was in Uganda, we had an Ebola research program going on. And I funded that through my office. Yep. Kenya will cut diesel prices after violent, murderous protests, proving that cowardly governments will kowtow to violent aggressors. Public transporters staged a 2-day strike, and several people were killed, so Kenya's relented. Kenya President William Ruto said today the government will cut the price of diesel in the country to provide relief to consumers after protests over soaring energy costs. Kenya's public transporters this week staged a 2-day strike that left 4 people dead and 30 injured. And so the government callously and callowly kowtows to violence. Senegal faces $2 billion shortage. Fuel subsidy shortfall amid an oil surge. Officials weigh fiscal considerations as oil windfall offsets only a fraction of the subsidy burden. Senegal's fuel subsidy bill could exceed 2026 budget allocation by as much as $2 billion if oil prices rise to 115. This is what happens when states control the price of energy. This is what happens when states control the price of commodities. Tunisia experienced bread riots after they raised the price of bread back in the 1980s because they couldn't afford to subsidize bread. They never should have subsidized bread. Senegal subsidizes fuel. Saudi Arabia subsidizes fuel. And South Africa sets the fuel price. And this is what you get. Kenya sets the fuel price. Senegal's PM slams the West over homosexual tyranny, defends LGBTQ crackdown. Senegal's prime minister has condemned the West, accusing it of attempting to impose homosexuality in a West African nation. Hey, dude, there are gays among you. I see gay people. Ousmane Sonko, homophobe, made the remarks while addressing the National Assembly on Friday. During his speech, he defended newly introduced laws targeting Senegal's LGBT community as part of a broader crackdown on same-sex relations, measures that have drawn criticism from human rights activists. There's a kind of tyranny. There are 8 billion human beings in this world, but there's a small nucleus called the West, which, because it has resources and controls media, wants to impose homosexuality on the rest of the world. No, dude. I don't give a crap about how many gays are in your country. Nobody's trying to impose anything. Stop your nonsense. Iran and Oman, this is troubling, are in talks over imposing a payment system for passing through international waters. This shall not be tolerated. Discussions suggest the United States and Iranian government may not be close to reaching a deal to end the war. Iran has discussed partnering with the Gulf state of Oman, an American ally, in a system charging fees for vessels passing through the Strait of Hormuz, ignoring Trump administration's warnings against demands for payment. It's unclear whether anything concrete will come out of this issue, but the talks appear to signal the United States and Iran are no closer to ending war than the badly damaged global economy, despite repeated claims to the contrary by President Trump. Well, I will tell you this much. Iran has no right, Oman has no right to impose fees on international shipping, and we will shut down both if necessary. The United States says 94 ships have been redirected under the Iranian ports blockade. U.S. Central Command said yesterday that American forces have redirected 94 commercial ships and disabled 4 ships while enforcing a naval blockade. Iran has largely restricted commercial transit through the strategic waterway, but the U.S. is blockading Iranian ports, and 94 ships have now been prevented. 4 have been disabled. A deadly measles outbreak taking place in Bangladesh. 8,000 confirmed cases and 60,000 suspected infections. Emergency vaccination drive. Why weren't they vaccinated to begin with? A measles outbreak has spread rapidly in Bangladesh, sickening thousands of people, most of them children, prompted the government to launch an emergency vaccination drive. Why in the world does Bangladesh not have children vaccinated for measles to begin with? Why? Why? Stupidity. Airbus and Air France, this is a shocking development, are found guilty of manslaughter of the 2009 Atlantic crash that killed 228 people. An appeals court in Paris has found the two companies liable over failures that led to Flight 447 crashing en route from Rio to Brazil to Paris. In Brazil to Paris. It vanished from radar screens over the Atlantic on June 1st, 2009 during a storm. The A330 was carrying 216 passengers, 12 crew members, and it took 2 years before the wreckage of the plane and its black box recorders were found on the ocean floor at a depth of 13,000 feet. An appeals court ordered them both to pay the maximum fine for corporate manslaughter, following prosecutors' request during the 8-week trial. Justice has absolutely been done. Well, what did they do? What did they do? An official investigation found that multiple factors contributed to the disaster, including icing over the pitot tubes, device on the wings the plane used to measure airspeed, and inappropriate control inputs. When the airspeed indications became unreliable, the autopilot and all the thrust disconnected. The pilot made nose-up side stick inputs, causing the aircraft to climb to 38,000 feet and entered a sustained stall, then descend rapidly before crashing. So it was pilot error. Air France was accused of failing to implement training in the event of pilot tubes icing over. Airbus is accused of not doing enough to urgently inform airlines about potential faults with pitot tubes. Well, I don't know about that. President Trump will send 5,000 troops to Poland after confusing the Europeans about withdrawing from Germany. Based on the successful election of now President of Poland, Karol Nawrocki, I am proud to endorse in a relationship with him. I'm pleased to announce the United States will be sending additional 5,000 troops to Poland. Wow. Greenlandic mothers are still fighting Denmark to get their children back who were kidnapped from them. A controversial test of parenting competency that put many Greenlander kids in foster care was dropped last year, but parents and kids remain separated. But that was only dropped because the United States intervened in Greenland. Only after the United States intervened in Greenland did the Danish racist colonizers finally stop stealing children from Greenlandic mothers. They did it for decades. They did it for decades. Only after the United States expressed interest in Greenland did the Danish colonizer racists finally back off of taking children from indigenous parents. B. Fernandeston Kaas held up her phone. The traditional Greenland tattoos on her fingers fanned out across the image of a child, her granddaughter. She's fighting to be able to raise the young girl who says was taken from her daughter by the police and a social worker after her birthday in early 2025. 2025, Denmark eliminated a controversial parenting competency test for Greenlanders. Greenlanders had long complained that the standardized test was culturally biased, causing too many of them to lose their children to foster care. Of course, it's all about Danization. Racist colonizers from Denmark destroying indigenous culture. Racist colonizers from Denmark. Yet America is the evil one. Yeah, we're not stealing your children. Democrats did that a century ago to Native Americans, but we don't do that today. But Denmark continues to do it. In Greenland, protesters denounced the opening of a bigger U.S. consulate. I guess they prefer to have their children stolen by racist Danish colonizers. Go away, demonstrators yelled outside the newly opened diplomatic post as guests inside nibbled on musk ox hot dogs. Gross. Greenlanders held a spirited protest Thursday against opening a new American consulate. Look at that, a whole 25 people. Wow. Of course, there's only 57,000 people in the country, so... On Thursday, hundreds marched through Nook streets carrying signs, "We don't want your money," and Greenlanders know a MAGA Trojan horse when we see one. The opening ceremony of the new building took place just days after Jeff Landry made his trip there. Greenlanders are not happy. Well, back from Greenland, Landry says U.S. can right the wrong of its post-Cold War departure. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry says the United States made a big mistake several decades ago. Right after the Cold War, the United States peace dividends basically failed Greenland because we basically depopulated the bases. In an exclusive print interview with the Epoch Times, he said he received an overwhelming friendly reception from Greenlanders, even as a doctor who accompanied him was unable to meet with the health minister. So I'm not sure that it was overwhelming. Yeah. A British radio station has apologized for airing news that King Charles had died. Did you hear that? King Charles III died, according to the radio station. This is because they have a protocol in place that automatically gets triggered. The king is alive. AM radio station Radio Caroline said on Facebook that a computer error on Tuesday led to the activation of a Death of the Monarch protocol that all British stations have prepared. Following the erroneous announcement, the station, founded in 1964 as an offshore pirate station to try and circumvent the BBC's monopoly, had the mandated moment of silence, which then prompted the station to return to its scheduled programming to apologize on air. Caroline has been pleased to broadcast Her Majesty the Queen's and now the King's Christmas message, and we hope to do so for many years. We apologize to His Majesty, the King, and to our listeners for any distress. He was actually in Northern Ireland when they said he was dead. The King is not dead. The United States has foolishly approved a potential $108 million sale of Hawk missile to Ukraine, further fueling the conflict. The United States State Department approved a potential $108 million sale of equipment to sustain Ukraine's Hawk missile system. It covers parts and support to keep the aging surface-to-air missiles operational. And the Sierra Nevada Corporation, based in Inglewood, Colorado, will be the principal contractor, making millions of dollars from killing people in Ukraine. The Republican Party has pulled a measure to end the war after people weren't present for the vote and defections. House Republican leaders abruptly scrapped a plan to vote a measure to direct President Trump to end the conflict. The retreat was a striking setback that exposed fractures within the GOP over the conflict at the moment when the party has begun pushing back forcefully Mr. Trump and his agenda. So, move came just days after a similar resolution moved ahead in the Senate when a handful of GOP defectors broke from the president and opposed the war. And they probably did because they didn't have the votes. Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican from Pennsylvania, who last week sided with Democrats. Well, Brian Fitzpatrick is a treasonous bastard who betrays this American country. I don't care about his past service. He lies. Democrats revive an effort to check President Trump's powers against Cuba. They're obsessed with Cuba. A trio of Democratic senators is pushing a measure forward yet again to reel in President Trump's ability to use military force against Cuba without congressional authorization. The bill from Democratic Senators Adam Schiff, of course, Tim Kaine, and Ruben Gallego seeks direct approval of the United States Armed Forces for hostilities within or with three senators previously introduced the measures. But this is in violation of the War Powers Act, which itself is unconstitutional, so it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. The San Diego shooters, one of them, was so dangerous that they took all of his father's firearms. In 2025, Caleb Vasquez's obsession with mass shooters and Nazism prompted reports to the authorities his father surrendered dozens of firearms. More than a year before Caleb Vasquez and a friend attacked a mosque in San Diego and killed 3 people, the police were so alarmed by Mr. Vasquez's behavior that they secured a court order to confiscate his father's firearms. The child was involved in suspicious behavior, idolizing Nazis and mass shooters, a police officer wrote in January 2025. Mr. Vasquez, who was found dead on Monday, shortly after the police say he and a friend attacked the Islamic Center in San Diego, had at some point been placed in an involuntary psychiatric hold. Okay, so the media reports Vasquez and his fellow shooter as right-wing Nazis. In reality, their manifesto, they railed against everybody, including the right wing. And here we find out that he's psychotic. So the media once again lying about someone, calling them right wing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, folks. Wow. Oh my. Oh my. Anyway. And that is the news for today, the 22nd of May, 2026. It's Friends and Family Only Friday. What will Trump do today? Will he hear something else? Oh, by the way, are we having that rocket launch today now? When is the rocket? SpaceX. SpaceX launch. When is it? It got changed. 2 hours ago. Let's see what the space says. Okay, SpaceX will take a second attempt today at 6:30 during 90-minute window. Okay, all right, so we'll see if I still have the energy to cover this tonight. The worst thing is that the Vasco da Gama race starts tomorrow with very little wind predicted. It's going to be a very interesting race. Maiden name is Jasper, but loads call me Casper. Okay, Jasper. Oh, Jasper is a lady? I assume that was a man. Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, you're a lady too. Choice boats with lights are very prominent. PA use them. Okay. Deckhand. Okay. And what was that? Thank you, COD Mobile Raider, for subscribing. Okay. Charles Van Alton, the voice of reason, is here. Mike is here. These choco boats are amazingly sharp, tight. You guys talking about boats? What's going on over here? The lady who comes here every Wednesday with her dog for pet therapy has just done her skipper exams. Oh, okay. You're still talking about boats. World's top virologist said vaccinating during a pandemic is counterproductive and could lead to mutant strains. I don't disagree with that. My point is, why aren't they vaccinating prior to that, Karen? Okay. Okay. There's no wind here in Dirtbin. Okay. Did you see the news of the taxi and bus collision? No, I did not see that. Did not see that. Lefties might be trying to go on skin to make the world complicit through Huntavirus, not Hunter. Hey, Phoenix, what you up to? Atmospheric is back. Franco, thank you for that 35 Rand. Okay, you want to ask refugee questions, you can do it now. Francois Ferrer, I trust you're well, Colonel Love. You're well preserved. Presented video of Rolf Meyer. Intro is well received. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. So I'm not seeing anything here noteworthy in the comments. Africa is a begging bowl. That's true. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission held back years ago was a sign the ANC government had no intention of reconciliation. No, it's about revenge. The whites who went before it got in prison. The blacks were given a free pass. Those who murdered Amy Beale, they were released from prison. They were released from prison for murdering her because she was blonde and blue-eyed. An American postgrad beat her to death with cinder blocks in front of a crowd, and they were let go free. Jacinta, thank you for the 140 Rand super chat. Fawn's wife passed. Okay, her license. 60 seconds says, you see my comment got deleted because I said South Asian stats make Pine Bluff, Arkansas look like a babysitting place. I don't know what you're talking about. Who deleted your comments? I see no deleted comments here. Must have been YouTube. Must have been YouTube. When did you comment on this? So, yeah, I'm not going to be able to find that because that's back 30 minutes. Thank you, Colonel, for everything you do for South. You're very welcome, Jacinta. Thank you for that. Is it cloudy, rainy in PA? It's cloudy here today. Rain in Kentucky, says Steven. Okay. Oh, sleeping bags are comfy. Your offside interview this morning. We're so excited. Okay, Jasper. How can you get a hold of my WhatsApp number? You can't. You have to send me an email. I keep telling people that. People keep asking my phone number to take my time. I'm not talking about you, Francois Principal, but saying they do. They call me up with, it's just unbelievably rude. I don't know who the people are, and they just call me all the time, and then they get pissed off if I don't have time for them. You send me an email. If it's something that I need to discuss with you, then we can discuss it. But I can't give everyone that wants to talk to me every moment of my day. People get more from me than most people get. There's the email link. Please use that. So yesterday, I made a video in response to some fear-mongering that was going on. Now, I did not attack any video or any content creator. I did mention a media outlet by name, a couple of them, the New York Times and The Guardian, and I mentioned Rachel Savage. Didn't attack her, just said what she said. So what happened is that a video appeared on the internet, but also people posted things in social media, and I got a dozen questions from people within an hour when this thing came out. Not the video, but it's also posted on, I think the Americaners posted this thing, people re-forwarded this thing. And there's a problem because the story is not true. The story was that the American government has passed taking emergency action to evacuate Afrikaners. That's simply not true. I made a video, and it's interesting to see the comments that come from that. So let me find the comments that came from that. Some of the comments, okay? So here's a couple of them. So here's the first one. I'd have to go back and find what the guy said. He claimed he said, refugee status is a scam. I said, it's not a scam. Over 3 million people have come to America since 1980 under the program. He said they only pay for 3 months. I said, first, factually incorrect in many ways. Oh, this is the refugee scam. Sorry, that's not. Sorry, I'll get back to that one. That's not the one I'm looking for. Here's the one I'm looking for. Here we go. Yeah. So, Bites and Boats, thank you for your comment. Who has 1 subscriber. It replied at Great Exploits, says, yes, it is. And do you know how many media outlets have linked to credible sources? As it stands now, this story came out a couple weeks ago. Oh, yeah, but that's not the comment. I'm sorry, that wasn't who did it. So anyway, the guy said it was one YouTuber who made the claim, Willem Petzer. I said, no. As I stated, I got to go to the actual video because this isn't working. Sorry. I didn't get the count. Sorry about that. Really sorry about that. So let me get to the comments, okay. Okay, let me see if I can find this now. I'm so sorry. I thought I had that set. I should have done this. I wonder if the person deleted their comment. Yeah, it looks like they deleted it. Yeah, it looks like they deleted their comment. Yeah, their comment is deleted. So, maybe it's not deleted. Hang on. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so I've got it now. You are a CIA shill. A refugee status is a scam. They only pay 3 months. Force vaccines while still applying. Takes long. You must pay back the air ticket. No, you have to find a job after 3 months or live on food stamps. The folks are returning back to us. He changed it. He did say stampeding. This is a scam. It's ruse. Don't trust this false hope. Jesus is Lord. God will expose you. You will stand at God's white throne judgment. Repent of lies. Wow. So this guy said, are you really that sad? Refugee status is not a scam. Over 3 million people have come to America since 1990. The program, they pay for only 3 months. So the first, factually, this was in response to that video. First, factually incorrect in many ways. Second, if true, what are you, a leech, a freeloader? And I said, if you don't have a job after 3 months, you're not trying. And they said, no one lives on food stamps. Since October 1st, 2025, refugees are not eligible for food stamps. Stampede back to South Africa? I laughed. Of 6,341 South refugee arrivals in the USA, 4 have returned. You need to look up what that word actually means. God will expose you. I said, I'm not sure what deity you pray to, but it certainly is not the same one Christians know. And then I said, why do you loons always cite Christ to blanket your idiocy? Leave faith out of your delusions. And the CIA, I said, laughing, rolling around the floor, laughing my butt off. So that's that one. But the other one I'm looking for is not here. I think the person deleted it because it was above that. Yeah, let me keep looking for it. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. There it is. Okay. So Bites and Boats, it was Bites and Boats. He said it was one YouTuber who made the claim. Villain Petson was obviously being hyperbolic, as you yourself have done many times before. Did we really need an entire video for this? Also, you're critical of journalists with good reason, mind you, but you yourself spread fake news. Look at the supposed 10,000 increase. Everyone is reporting it on it as factual, but where's the evidence? I can't find any sources in CNN or like articles, just hearsay. Thank you for reporting these things, but hold yourself to the same standard you hold others to. To which I said, as far as it being one YouTuber made a claim, Villain Petro said, no, as I stated quite clearly and even showed the headline, Rachel Savage wrote the article at The Guardian, which ran the headline, Emergency. This and other outlets got tongues wagging. South Africans have been spreading it all over social media. I got over a dozen questions about it in less than an hour. Being hyperbolic, as you yourself have done many times. I said, Balderdash, when? Many times? Yet you show none. You yourself spread fake news. I said, poppycock examples. You offer 0 examples of me spreading fake news. Everyone is reporting on it as factual, but where's the evidence? I said, no, not everyone. I repeatedly state the source, the New York Times, their access to sources, assess the validity of their sourcing, and also noted that I have not been able to locate the Department of State message to Congress as it's not a matter of public record. I said, you would do well to leister to what is actually stated rather than throw around unsubstantiated claims. He says, hold yourself up to the same standard you hold others up to. I do. You just hear what you want to hear, not what is said. Yep. So that was interesting how people respond to that video. So I made the video because people were panicking. People actually thought U.S. aircraft are flying to South Africa to pick up Afrikaners. It's a lie. It's not true. It's not true. And that video on that channel had 50,000. Look, I wasn't attacking that video, but that video and all these people talking on social media, that's why I had to address it. So that video, let me see, it had 50,000 views in a few hours yesterday. Mine has almost no views. So here's Stephen ZA. Now he's doing it too. He's got one saying that it's emergency evacuation. It's not emergency evacuation.
2 days ago, the State Department of the US government sent a notice to Congress notifying them under a new Refugee Emergency Act, America will admit 10,000 more Afrikaner refugees.
Signed Emergency Act. It's a notification to Congress. Sorry, I'm not picking on Stefan ZA, but I'm telling you that the claims that like this is responsible in Petzer was not that. There's a lot more going on.
This year, bringing the number from 7,500 up to 17,500. The problem really is in the wording. Now, that's not new. Just FYI, the Americans have been mulling over increasing that number for some time.
And that was another thing. I did watch Willem Petzer's video, and he said it was shocking that this happened. It's not shocking. I predicted it since they announced the cap last year. I've predicted it all along that this would increase. I've told you all along it will increase. One way or another, it will increase. So, you know.
But when the American State Department actually sent the notice, they specifically included the words emergency action.
No. What was going to say?
Immediately made a lot of us in the country prick up and go, wait, what the hell is going on? Why would there suddenly be this dire emergency need?
It's boilerplate language. So someone said this video is extremely scary. However, I do feel my own family fought. Okay, yeah. So that's a problem. Look, I'm not attacking Stephen ZA, but he said nice things about me. I have nothing bad to say about him. I haven't watched the video. That's 46 seconds of a 13-minute video. But he has 15,000 views on it. I have almost no views on my video, which gets the facts correct. I have 8,000 views. And I wasn't even looking for Stephen ZA. 8,900 views. Let me go to, I was looking for Willem Petzer because that video. So let's see how many he's got on that video. 57,000 views. He has 57,000. Stephen has 15,000. And he has half as many subscribers as me. So clearly there's something going on. So why is my video only getting that few? People, look, I can watch all these videos. I can listen to all this AI. I can listen to all these channels that claim that things aren't shadow banned. The exact same topic presented with factual information, with graphics, and, you know, anyway, whatever. I'm not complaining about it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that the reason I did it, is because you cannot allow people to believe this stuff. Sama Sama did it today on his channel. Curiosity Nugget says, thank you for keeping up the good work. See, that's the thing. Like Ronaldo and I were talking, Tom, we do this. So Ronaldo made a video the other day, and I made one as well. And we didn't watch each other's videos. I didn't see his video. It turns out we had similar conclusions, which is interesting. But the point there is that I don't watch other people's content for stories. I don't go there for stories. I either come up with my own stories based on something interesting or research something. Plus in the news, I read the news stories and analyze them from multiple sources around the planet, not just South African sources. There's a danger here, much like the Nick Shirley chasing the Laring Center narrative, which a lot of people are trying to jump on, of, you know, this sort of thing. We've had, okay, yesterday we had this situation where my viewers, and I'm not attacking my viewers, but my viewers told me incorrectly that the U.S. government had made an agreement with South Africa to share your information as a refugee. And I said, that doesn't seem plausible. Now, if someone made a video on that, I guarantee there will be some content creators that will repeat that story. It's simply untrue. Someone gave me 3 sources, and they claim that they're in the sources, and they mean well. I'm not attacking the viewer, but they gave me 3 sources. One for the government of South Africa, one for Durko's website, neither of which I could find on their website, but the links were valid. I went there. And then the third one was a Reuters article, which purportedly claimed that too. None of them say that. I read the entire article on air. None of them say the U.S. has reached an agreement. None of them. I do remember someone saying there was an agreement a few months ago, but I never found any information on it, so I never reported on it because it was poppycock. So here is what this statement from Durko, and it's the same exact same statement the government released. Right down here in the yellow is what they said. And people read this and are telling people that the government is disclosing information. They are not disclosing information. They are not disclosing information. That's poppycock. So through the diplomatic channels, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation has sought, they're looking for, they're asking for the following: the status of persons who will be departing, whether it's asylum seekers, refugees, or ordinary citizens. That's none of their damn business. None of their business. And actually, apparently, according to the law, if I've read it correctly and my viewers have, it violates South Africa's existing law on refugees. They want assurance as to whether persons have been properly vetted by competent South African authorities. You have no right to vet refugees. We are taking people out of your country because it's persecuting them. Why in the world would we let you vet these people? This is stupid. To ensure that they do not have outstanding criminal cases pending against them, among others. So that's what they sought. There's no indication the U.S. has done it. Now, if the U.S. has done it, then the U.S. has violated South African law, and if they've done it, they've betrayed refugees. But I'm not aware of them doing it, and there's no evidence to support that. These are unfounded claims. Riki says, how long does it normally take to hear from the USA after interest form is completed? I don't know what an interest form is. Do you mean the intake questionnaire? Riki, if you're talking about the intake questionnaire, there is no time frame. There's no time frame. Some people hear in a couple days, some people in a couple months, some people hear in a couple weeks. There is no time frame. Exactly. Cool Bean says, if that was true, we'd be watching the runway. Exactly. Our fear and desperation is really getting the better of us. Sadly, our question is, if we have not been contacted to redo our medicals, have we more likely been not? Okay, why? Okay, yeah, you're right, Sonia. Your fear is getting hold of you. Okay, again, ladies and gentlemen, I am unaware of any case of someone who's eligible, not just because you applied. People are not eligible if applied. They've been denied because they're not eligible. But no one who is eligible having been denied. Not a single person through January 31st. Now, I'm going to have to ask the U.S. government for an update on that, if they can give me information, but no one through January. You haven't been denied. They must, under the law, give you a letter. They must send you a letter to give you an opportunity to appeal it. You have a right of redress to the same people who denied you, by the way. The exact same person who denied you. No one has ever shown me a letter of denial. Not a single person. Not one person has ever shown me a letter of denial. Stop letting your fear get the best of you. There's no basis for it. And also, people, your expectations are unrealistic. Unrealistic. This takes 18 months or longer normally. The fact that people have gotten out in a few months or 5 or 6 months or 8 months or a year is impressive. But that's not what South Africans want to hear, because they all want it now. They want it today. We're owed this. We're entitled to this. No, you're not. You're not. Sorry. That isn't how it works. And people don't listen to me. And it shows. They go and listen to people who tell them what they want to hear. Well, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth. Because hearing what you want to hear doesn't improve your life. It doesn't improve your situation. It doesn't give you realistic expectations and doesn't help you prepare for what needs to come. You must deal in facts. They know your medical's expired, Phoenix. They will tell you when it's time to get medicals again. No, I haven't seen your email, Sonia. I've had no time. No time. So let me see what you're saying. You're welcome, Riki. Oh no, I already answered that. Okay. Sonia Funbean. I don't know what your email is, so. I have no Sonia Funbean here. I have no email from anybody on April 22nd named Sonia. I have March 29th, April 16th, May 19th, May 4th, and May 14th. No one named Sonia. So how am I supposed to know if I have your email? I mean, honestly, guys, come on. 7,072 unread messages, and you're contacting me with a username, and I don't know who you are. So how am I supposed to know if I've seen your message? James says, Trump says it's time to finally kill daylight savings time. Congress passed a bill? That's nonsense. It hasn't been passed. A proposal to make daylight savings time permanent across the United States advanced in the House. House Energy and Commerce Committee voted 48-1. This is a foolish decision. It is an incredibly bad idea. Yep, as Chuck says, I think it's an incredibly bad idea. As a parent, having children waiting for school buses or walking to school in the dark is outright dangerous. Bad enough during winter weather when to add to darkness that it's a mix of foolhardy. Accidents happen and people completely preventable. There's a reason why we continue to change twice a year for the past 65 years. Yep. Trump is saying this is brilliant. Well, Trump is foolish and wrong on this issue. He's wrong. Thank you for 35 Rand, James. Jasper says, yes, sir. Our interview told us the same thing. You have 90 days supply. I forget. I knew. I'd have to look it back. I think it's actually 30 days after the letter. I don't think you get 90 days. Yeah, I don't think you get 90 days. Yep. That's a good explanation. But to appeal it, you've got 30 days. Yep. How did the mainstream media get a hold of some refugees contact to ask for? Very simple. I've told you this thousands of times. You're on social media. You're asking questions. You're writing emails. You're joining Facebook groups. You're joining WhatsApp groups. Your information is freely available there. It doesn't take much effort to find out who you are. It doesn't take much effort. Plus, people buy data. It's simple. Very simple. That's how they get a hold of your refugee information. Very simple, ladies and gentlemen. Very simple. Yep, it's very simple. It's not hard. I don't know why people think that it's hard to find people or get their contact information. The only thing that's hard to find is the email addresses and phone numbers of ANC members who won't answer the phone for me. I know a single mom with a baby, the dad not on the birth certificate, has nothing to do with the baby. Does it mom need consent from the dad? Yes. I mean, unless it's listed as unknown on the birth certificate. Does the birth certificate say unknown? Then that's different. But I can't answer that fully. I'm not a legal expert on that. I think the point of sending you those links was to show what has been claimed and published by Southern government. That may be true, Savage Dreams, but it was presented in my chat as a fact by someone, and then someone sent me the links. So my point, that's why I said I didn't attack my viewers for it. What I'm saying is that it's not true. It's not true. All right. I'm just sitting on the bench waiting till the call comes in. Okay, Arno. Friend who got email said tentatively 2 to 4 weeks flying. If they can't make it, they must let them know. He said it can be 8 weeks, and then he ended up getting his ticket a week later. Yeah, truth. Again, this is why people need to stop obsessing about this. When you get an email, it says 2 to 4 weeks that you can expect to leave. That is just letting you know that you've been approved. That's it. That's all it means. You shouldn't leave any, but probably what happened there is that someone couldn't make it and they had a seat, and so they put him on the flight. Again, I don't know why people have to. Everyone acts like there's some, this is comical. People live in South Africa where nothing works. You can't go to any government agency and get anything done in a reasonable fashion. And there's no time, there's no accountability. Yet suddenly, magically, when you get an email from the U.S. government or from USCIS or from RSC, that's gospel. That's exactly how things are going to be. That's how it must be done. That means it's going to come true. Seriously? So suddenly, because you've never experienced any government that works, that you just trust everything from another government? Please, give me a break. Give me a break. You're too white to be refugees. What? USCIS no accepts and considers requests for review. Okay, well, that's news to me, Scout. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So how are they dealing with the request? Okay, well, I need to research that because that's news to me, and also I believe that's in violation of the law. So where is this comment? 107. 107. Scottlicious, thank you for that. Okay, let me look into that. That's odd. I didn't know that. See, things change, but that doesn't make any sense. Let me see this. New window. Cancel. File. There we go. Paste. Okay. Thank you for Scottlicious. Okay, let me go check on this because that doesn't make any sense. All right, well, according to this, it's true, but I'm going to have to research the law because I thought that was a component of the law. Yep, it's correct. April 23rd, they no longer accept the request for reconsideration. But that doesn't change what I stated. They still have to give you a letter of denial. Now you just can't appeal it. Thank you, Scout. Yep, okay. You just can't appeal it. Well, that's. I mean, the whole thing was funny anyway because the appeal went back to the person who denied you, and all it did was allow you to present new evidence that wasn't available before them. So it was just kind of a pro forma. So there you go. But no one has presented a letter of denial. They have to give you a letter of denial. People face the factor. It takes time. Look at our case. 265 days, only flying out in June. It will happen. As guarded as Americans are about their reality, so too are South Africans guarded about theirs. Don't take offense. Our numbers are small compared to the whole. I'm not sure what Jalapi's talking about. Please see WhatsApp from Yannicka. Loretta, I've already done a video about Yannicka's situation. Renee is here for the news and sense community. Been here since late 2023. Thank you, Renee. Yeah, but you've been chatting a lot lately. Stephen Mueller said yesterday on Fox that the African refugee program has been the most successful program that has African. Yeah, I don't know how accurate. How do you assess something like that? I don't buy that. West Coast gets dark early. Yep. Somebody says, honest, there's no way of knowing anything. It feels like to toss a coin and sit around the process, not complaining. No, I don't. There is no timeline. Exactly, Sumer. That's what I'm saying. Thank you. Okay. Garrett's the sunrise in the east. It always takes time to move across the sky. It's true. He doesn't use other people's content to make his videos. Everything he shares well as research, and he makes sure he'll content is correct. I'm sorry for other content creators. Okay, thank you, Mike. And there's a super chat from Alan. I'll get to that in a moment. Appreciate the work you do. Is that Stefan Zade right there? Is that you, man? Stefan, is that you? Is that you? Is that your video? I didn't watch it all. So I didn't throw any shade on you if that's you, man. I didn't throw any shade on you. I just said that, okay, so is that you, man? If that's you, you want to come on? I can do a Zoom. We can come on right now. We can chat about this. I'd love to have a conversation about it with you because I don't know what your video said. Yep. Can you come on, man? Can you come on? Your video got twice as many views as mine did, so there must be something appealing about it. Steven here. I'd love to chat with him, man. I've seen his content. He's got some great content. Oh, yes, he's going to get to his PC. Let me know when you're there, and I'll get a Zoom session going. All right, man. Here we go. This is going to be awesome. Awesome. Yes, that's awesome. He said very complimentary things about me. I wouldn't trash him. He said very nice things about me. I would not trash him, and I didn't. Nope. There's no value in trashing other content creators. Some people do it. Yep, I see that, Charles. I see that. And I've got my headphones on now. Cool. Yeah, this will be cool, man. I'm looking forward to this. Paul loves both of us, so it's going to be cool. Yeah, impromptu conversation. I'm stoked, man. This is awesome. I'm chuffed, as South Africans would say. Cool. Sally says, reference to denial letter, USCIS rather call people back to clarify. Your friends had 4 interviews to clarify, then approved. Yeah, well, there's been a lot of that going on, too. People have to go back. I don't, gosh bless it. I don't have contact with you. So, all right. So, is Hendo here or Erica? Okay. Send me a quick email. Put one of the emails up there, and I'll send a link in email. I'll send you a link in email. So send me, Mod, put my email address up so Steven has it if he doesn't have it, and I'll send it to him. Okay. All right. So let me just go ahead and do that. I have to turn off my camera here in a second. Give me a second here, guys. All right. So that's what we're going to do. You send me an email, and I'll send it to you real quick. I don't want to compromise your phone number or mine in this conversation. Okay, so I'm going to have to turn my camera off, so just be patient. The microphone should still work while my camera's off. Otherwise, actually, I can leave it on until I get it started, I think. So, new meeting. Okay. Start. Okay. All right. Now I need to, yes, I know you can't use my camera. Give me a second here. I need to put this over here. So my camera's still on. Over there. Dismiss. All right. Now I need to turn off this camera, and then I'll turn that one on. Okay. Zoom. There it is. Now turn off my camera. Okay, now I need to turn my camera on here. There we go. Let me fix my background. Okay. Video and effects. The background. There we go. All right. Okay. So cool beans. Wow, this is cool. Did someone put the email? There it is. Sally put in. Thank you, Sally. All right, let me go to my email real quick. We'll get Steven in there. Cool. Nothing yet. Okay. The folks are not moving fast enough. The gremlins on the internet. Okay. Miss V, thank you for your membership for 6 months. Yeah, history in the making. It could be. I just got to wait for his email to come in. Looking for it. There it is. Got it, man. Yeah, I got you, man. No worries. Let me do that real quick. I got to find where this thing is at. There it is. How do I get the link for this thing? They've changed it. Oh, this is annoying. Where did they put this at now? Ah, I hate this. They've done this here. Where do I get the... There it is. Got it. Okay. All right. So paste. Cool. All right, man. It's out. It's out. You've got it. Don't worry. I'll only give your email to 2,000 people. That's funny. Hey, Ruben, what's up? Okay, thank you, Loretta. That's new. That's different. I see it in my email here. Road Captain Kev, upgrade to platoon leader. Thanks, man. That's awesome. I appreciate that. All right, so Steven, he's probably waiting on the email now, too. So once he gets it, then we'll get him in here. There he is. All right. Yeah, here we go. All right. Come on. I'll let him in. There he is.
Hello, Colonel.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good on you. Good on you.
We've never chatted.
No, we haven't actually. I've been following your content for longer than I've actually been doing politics officially. But, you know, I sort of became a huge fan of yours, I think, like a few years ago, actually.
Well, thanks. First, I want to say that I put this on the record. I've watched some of your content, and I've always enjoyed it. I mean, I've always thought that you're clear, you're straightforward, and I like that approach. I don't have time to watch all your content. I have too busy making my own content, but yeah. So I didn't even know you'd done a video on this topic until I went looking for William, and yours popped up right away. By the way, that's a good sign for you. The algorithm showed me your video on my For You stuff, so that's good news for you. And then I played like a minute of it just to hear. So I don't know what you said in the video. I didn't throw shade on you. I wouldn't do that. But this came about. I don't know if Willem Petzer started, but I researched and I saw that The Guardian used the term emergency in their title, as did some other folks. And the problem is that a lot of people are unfamiliar with how this works, and it's standard boilerplate stuff. But I did see his video later on, and it gave the impression, and a lot of people. I got a dozen calls and not calls, messages within the first hour, like, is there evacuation? Where's the evacuation? Where do I go? I'm like, there's no evacuation. Calm down. That was an unfortunate use of a term. Anyway, so what was your video about? I mean, if you don't mind sharing.
All right. So I saw the day that it was put out. So when all the articles hit the mainstream media, I saw this and I immediately thought, well, this is insane. But I sort of, my political analytics brain sort of kicked in, and I was immediately like, but why would they do this? Like, what could happen? What could possibly prompt this? And then I saw Willem Petzer's video where he made this, and I usually also, like you, don't really watch a lot of other content unless it's not about topics that I necessarily want to cover. But in his video, he makes the claim that it's all about expropriation without compensation. And I've had different thoughts about it, and so my video was genuinely more a response to Willem Petzer's video in explaining if it is an emergency evacuation, which I never, at least I don't think I ever made it seem like this is, suddenly American planes are going to descend.
And Stephen, I don't know if he did. Like I said, I haven't watched the video. I just played the first minute, so that's why I'm asking for your content. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it was just it was an interesting thing to kind of highlight the progression of things over time. And if you're an analyst sitting in Washington looking at the progression, you see things like Julius Malema now being sort of found guilty, and Cyril Ramaphosa with these problems with impeachment. You start to see all of these things, and as history tells us, when revolutionary groups start to come under pressure, that's when they start to become violent. So I said this could potentially signal some kind of move within the American system. Even if they don't have intel, they might be looking at this and going, look, there's a good chance that they're going to become more extreme and we need to move something up. But as I said in the beginning of my video, it's not new. I think President Trump said, what was it, 2 or 3 months ago? There were already reports that they were probably going to try and increase the number. And I know you said last year already that this isn't the final number, that it will probably go higher.
No, so the challenge is this, and I think I know I said it in my video. I said, because, see, like the Guardian used that term emergency in the chat. And not in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat in their article. And that was Rachel Savage, and others.
That's
did
the
too.
article that I
right.
also.
And then somebody criticized me, and I assumed based on that article that people were relying on that article because that's the one I found that had that in the title. So it appears that my assumption was valid. But the problem with this is that well, I was actually not attacked, but someone criticized me, and attacked is the wrong term. Someone criticized my video, saying, why do we even need this video? Well, the reason I did the video is because I got a dozen calls, and people are panicking. Where are the planes? Where am I supposed to go? I'm like, well, calm down. There's no planes. No one's coming. And so I had to do the video, and I did a little research yesterday to find out, and then I saw Willem's title there, and I used the term evacuation. I had to let people know there's no evacuation, because there was evacuation. U.S. Africa Command would be doing it right now. Now, that's not to say that U.S. Africa Command doesn't have a plan on the shelf to evacuate people from South Africa. I mean, I was in the military. We have plans for everything you could possibly imagine, including epidemic outbreaks like Ebola. We have plans for that. They just don't always follow them. So as far as the cap, the Reuters, and I know the journalist Ted Hessen, he reported over a month ago that officials in the White House and in the State Department had indicated that they were going to notify Congress to raise this cap. I covered that. You know that. You saw that then. And that just confirmed what I've been saying all along. Then the New York Times, about a week later, ran an article using that term emergency. But people didn't really pay much attention to it. I reported because that's what it is. It's an emergency declaration. And this is the key point I made in my video. Every refugee crisis is an emergency situation. That's the whole point. Yeah. So it's boilerplate language. Having worked in diplomacy, having worked in the State Department, having worked in the military and with the National Security Council, I understand where this is coming from. And the reason I did my video is to calm people down because people don't have that experience and aren't familiar with that. And that's understandable. That's not criticizing. It's just a statement of fact. And I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But there, I don't see any C-130s or C-17s landing at Waterkloof or at sod strips in the Northern Cape to pick up South Africans anytime soon. But that's what was being spread around social media, and that's why I didn't watch your video. That's why I was asking. So anyway, So good.
If I may just clarify, because I see a bunch of people in the comment section. So when I say my video was a response to Willem, I don't mean that I was just going off of Willem's video and running with that. I meant more Willem's video was an inspiration because I was listening to it and I thought, but there's a bunch of other reasons that could also play a part in this. So it could be I'm not throwing Willem Petzer under the bus here or saying anything next. And my response to you was also not because I felt called out. Quite frankly, I am happy to admit that I don't understand the lingo of American politics. So obviously we read emergency declaration and we think, oh crap! Right, so this is an emergency.
It's a fair assumption. It's a fair conclusion. I'll say that on the part of people abroad. That's the thing. But what I didn't want to happen, which will happen, and it's already been spreading in WhatsApp groups and Facebook already, is that South Africans are now running going, oh, the Americans are going to come and rescue us. Okay, and then we've already had people, Stephen. We've already had people making dumb decisions, and I'm not attacking them, but they're making dumb decisions by getting an email that says, be prepared to leave in 2 to 4 weeks. Oh, I'm leaving 2 to 4 weeks. They sell their homes, they get rid of their cars, and then they're destitute. So we've had to feed over 150 people, roughly, who have no food, no money because they did that. I'm sorry, that's not fair. Most of those people we've taken care of because the government screwed them on their tickets. They had a ticket and cancel it. Some of them, a small number, have been people in that situation. But we can't feed thousands of people. It's just, we don't have those kind of resources. So my point is, I didn't want people spazzing out, freaking out, or thinking there was salvation around the corner that's not coming. No. So that's why I did the video. But here's the thing about the algorithm. Your video talks about the same sort of thing. You have half as many subscribers as I do, and you've got twice as many views on your video. My video, I went to look back to Willem's. My video has almost the exact same title as Willem's, except it says not. I didn't realize it was that close until afterwards because I used AI to make sure I had a good title for it. And he has 57,000 views, and I've got 8,000. Now, people tell me there's no shadow banning. Okay, if we're covering the same topic, and it's roughly the same like the video, and it came out around the same time, all things being equal, the video should perform around the same level, unless my content sucks. If my content sucks, I'll accept that. So anyway, that's the other thing I found puzzling about it.
I think it's one sensationalism, but then no one's ever going to convince me that there isn't shadow banning happening. And I don't mean sensationalism as in Willem Petzer is just being sensationalist. I've actually found a lot of his content to be incredibly valuable. Especially on things that I don't have the resources to research. His team does wonderful work on that. But, I think shadow banning is a real thing. And I can see it in terms of some voices being amplified on the anti-Trump side, right? So that's a clear thing that you see all the time. And then also some voices being amplified nowadays on the what I would call the woke right in America. So yeah, I can see that. I can absolutely see that as being one argument for it.
So I want to be clear about something else here too, because someone just said something. Said yesterday's video from Willem was unfortunate. Look, I'm not criticizing or attacking Willem Petzer's content or Willem Petzer. All I'm saying is that there was stuff circulating all over the place, and whatever. And I did watch this video, and I disagree with his analysis, but that doesn't mean I have an issue with him or that I'm criticizing him. We don't always have all the information when we make analysis, we make videos, and I think that might have contributed to this, and also the media. So you got to. This is why Stephen. That's why I'm so circumspect about the media. I never trust them. They're still calling it the farmer program and the white refugee program. I've interviewed lots of people who aren't white who've come over here, and they still insist on doing that. It's very frustrating. But anyway, so what's this? Please, people. Yeah, we're not. No one's putting Wim Petzer down here. Neither Stephen or I. So, folks, chill out in the chat. None of that. So, Stephen, your channel. When did you create it? Because I didn't even look at the date when you started this thing. You just came out of nowhere. Suddenly, I started seeing your videos.
Yeah, well, I actually got into politics completely accidentally. So I started YouTube around 10 years ago with a different channel where I made gaming videos because I have a history in storytelling, a history in narrative design, and sort of analyzing text. And I just enjoyed analyzing the narratives in video games. Then, sort of 5 years ago, the gaming industry started getting very woke.
Yeah.
And I started making videos against the trans and gay characters that's just shoehorned into every single game now. And then, out of the blue, President Trump comes out and speaks about the situation happening in South Africa. President Trump doesn't call it a genocide first, but the media in South Africa immediately calls it a genocide, which I thought initially was that sort of interesting. And then I hear people from all over start to just make videos on this topic. Now, I'm gaming, so I don't even care about what's happening in South Africa at the minute. But I see people going, oh, there's a genocide, millions and millions of white people are dying every single day. And I see people going, there's nothing wrong here. Absolutely nothing. What are you talking about? And I thought, wait, guys, there's an honesty in the middle of this that no one seems to be talking about. And I thought I'll just make one video just explaining that genocide isn't just millions of people dying. It's when you can see a targeted approach and the government seems to be happy to just let it play. That is something that should make most ordinary, decent people worry. That video then just exploded. And I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But then a lot of the comments had sort of clarifying questions. And I thought I'd make a follow-up just clarifying some of my positions. And before I knew it, I was making like 4 or 5 clarifying videos. And then just it started exploding. And a deeper part of it was I became a Christian about 2 years ago. And I've been struggling a lot with the gaming content, asking myself, what's the value that I'm providing to society? Because I feel like life should have some value. And then as soon as this happened, I started praying about it, and I just realized this is the value that I've been looking for. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so Erica just put the link to your channel there if people want to go check it out. So listen, I'm a gamer. I don't game much these days, but I'm a gamer going back to the days of the early 1980s. When it was a very different world, using cassette tapes to load the operating system to play Santa Paravia. But a lot of people wanted me to do a gaming channel, but I don't have that kind of time anymore, and that's the thing. I don't have hours to devote to that. And I saw how woke Discord was and these other platforms like Twitch, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Yes. So I can understand where you're coming from that. So listen, I appreciate you coming in and chatting with me about this. It's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. It's pretty great. I don't know that you ever do collabs or anything, but if you'd like,
I'd love to.
Okay,
absolutely would love to.
All right, because I have segments. You've watched the program for a while, but some of the segments wind up being moribund or people get distracted, and so I always keep them. I had I can't think of the what's the one I had with Dumo and Coquetzo. We had that one there, and then I had the other one, the Briberoos. We just did one of those recently with Byron. I hadn't done that in ages. I have the what do we even call it with the Colonels? That one with Vaynant. We have that. We haven't done that in ages, but we could do a segment if you like, and you come on. We could chat about things. It's always nice to chat and throw ideas around with people. So of course, Ronaldo and I've been doing Wednesdays with the Colonel for longer than anything. That's been going on for a long time. But that's on
I've
his
been
channel,
watching that for a long time. For watching that show for a long time.
Stephen Swanepoel says a bromance in the making. What do you mean bromance in the making? I don't even know you, Stephen. How could I have a bromance with Stephen Swanepoel? Oh, you mean with this Stephen? Okay, sorry. Yeah, so
I'll take that.
Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of funny. But so I'm happy to, because you're on the ground. I mean, now someone said that you're disabled, but you don't sound like an ANC cater.
No, I'm not an educator, and I'm also not disabled. I get what people think. I think because, well, I've had so many people have completely misconception about me because I'm very overweight. I've had people think, oh, he can't walk.
Oh.
I can very much walk, and I can get up, and I can do, just to prove it to people. There we go. Right? I'm standing up. I have no problem. People think this is a funny story. I went to the clinic the other day just because I had some ringing in my ears because of allergies. And I just needed her to look into my ears to see if there's any wax buildup or something. And she was like, well, we should probably also taste your blood sugar. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well,
you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she tasted my blood sugar, and it's perfectly normal.
Yep.
Like it's well within the normal range, not elevated at all. And she was so shocked because she was convinced she's about to tell me you've got diabetes. And I'm like, yeah. Luckily, I've been spared. By the grace of God, I don't have diabetes. So yeah, but I'm also not disabled.
No, but I mean, someone said that. I'm like, he doesn't sound like an ANC cater to me. I mean, so.
Yeah, well, at least I'm definitely not mentally disabled. So I haven't yet gone over to the dark side.
Yeah, let's hope you don't ever go over there. But anyway, anyway, we'll do a collab. I'll talk to you about it. Maybe I don't know, this week or the week after. I've got travel coming up. I'm busy running around visiting South Africans all over America, which is draining my bank account. It's quite expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's quite expensive, but it's important. People need to be heard. They need to be recognized for who they are. So I'm happy to do it. But we'll look at it. And if you come up with an interesting name for our session. Now, the things I've seen, you mostly talk about politics. Do you also know about history?
Yes. Quite a bit, dependent on what history. I will admit, to my great shame, I think I know more about the American founding fathers and the American history than what I do actually about South Africa's history, and that's only because the American founding fathers are my heroes. The way they thought about how countries should be set up, the way they sort of argued about why a republic makes or a constitutional republic makes far more sense than a democracy for a country like America. I always found it fascinating. So I know a lot about history, enough, I think, but not something as much as I should.
We can, I'm a historian and a political scientist. I love to talk about history, so that'd be pretty cool. I don't get a chance to talk about that much other than the abstract, mentioning a few historical things when I talk to other folks, because it's usually about politics. So we could do that as well. Someone said, Northgard 3 says, I remember watching Stephen by the way, do you pronounce it Stephen or Stefan?
Stefan, whichever is easiest.
Okay, well, which is your preferred? So,
I don't have a preferred. I'm in an English church where about half of the people can't pronounce my name the way that it's supposed to be. So whichever one is.
I'm going to call you Ruan then. Okay.
You can go Ruan as well.
He said, I remember watching Stephen about 5. Excuse me, I'm laughing. About 5 years ago on his old gaming channel. I'm so proud to see how far he's come. Clearly, acceptance of Christ's work. Well for you. Hats off to you, Stephen. So there you go. It's obviously there's some love for you here. So I'm so glad we caught you in the chat, because you know people misconstrue things because I was talking about your video and they're like, oh my God, he's hating on this guy. Just like the Willem Petzer thing. I wasn't hating on Willem Petzer. So anyway. But yeah, so I'm glad that you popped in. Let's do a collab. We'll chat about things, and with all the crap in my background, it's quite a distraction from your side, so I have to put that green screen up next time.
But I would also just like to take this opportunity to say thank you very much for the interest that you take in South Africa, and specifically in fighting the fight against the communists in this country, even though your country already beat them in the Cold War, so you didn't have to, take up our fight as well. But I think I speak on behalf of most, if not all, South Africans when I say thank you, or at least peace-loving, freedom-loving South Africans when I say thank you. And then just on the final note here, I think it's valuable to be called out when we make mistakes, when we get something wrong. So I, for one, welcome it. And I didn't take you as calling me out. I just had a viewer of mine say, oh my goodness, Colonel Chris Wyatt mentioned you in the stream, and they didn't say that you were calling me out or anything. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Let me go check it out. And then I heard what it was about, and I was immediately like, oh, I should probably just explain why I made the video. And I'm so grateful that you invited me on.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate it. And thank you for the kind words. I really do appreciate it. It's in stark contrast to some of the nasty WhatsApps and emails and messages and posts in my comments. Like, yeah, the problem is that when you're honest with people, people don't want to hear the truth sometimes. They want to hear what they want to hear, which is unfortunate. Anyway, but I'm of the same opinion. If I get something wrong, I freely admit it. I freely admit it if I get something wrong. Like, I didn't get it wrong, but I was talking in the context a few minutes ago about if you're denied, they have to send you a letter, and the reason they have to send you a letter is because then you get a chance to appeal within 30 days, something like that. And somebody said, no, that's no longer. Somebody said that's no longer true. No longer true. They said as of April 23rd, and they were correct. I think Scowdelicious is the one point out. Someone else pointed out, and I went and looked it up. And in fact, it's true. I guess Professor G had actually done a video on. I missed that somehow, probably because that occurred when I was traveling and I didn't notice it. But yeah, so I mean, I wasn't necessarily wrong, but I mean, I just didn't know that. So it's good to learn that now, and that's kind of unfortunate. But anyway.
That reminds me, I wanted to ask you a question, which I was told by an immigration attorney the following, and then some of the people in my chat said, wait, that's wrong. And it could potentially be. But what I was told is one of the potential pitfalls of refugee status is that the host country can at any point change its mind and say, well, you're no longer at risk, you need to go back home. And maybe you have more information on that?
Sure.
What happens if a Democrat comes in 2029?
Okay. And I think that's where that question is coming from. If a Democrat comes in, that doesn't change anything. The only reason you get sent back, and I've covered this many, many times, you've probably missed it, is that because you're busy making your own content. But no, the only reason you would be sent back is if you defrauded the government. In other words, you lied in order to gain refugee status. If you commit a serious crime. And even then, we're likely to incarcerate a refugee and then deport them after their incarceration. Or the underlying conditions have changed. As someone who would adjudicate this, if I were adjudicating this, all I need to grant refugee status, in my view, to minority South Africans is the 145 race-based laws. I need look no further than the Employment Equity Act amendment that says only 4.3% of mid and senior level managers and corporations can be white, and point out statistics of white men now being fired because not enough black men are filling those roles. That is sufficient. So unless the underlying conditions change. But here's the bottom line with America. We don't send refugees home. We don't send even temporary protected status people home. The Liberians have been here since 1990 on TPS, which is an 18-month renewal. For 36 years, we've been renewing them, letting them stay here. Some of them are multimillionaires, and they refuse to go back to Liberia. I lived in Liberia. These people fled. I lived there. Perfectly safe, at least for me. But the point is that it's never taken away. So it doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. People need to not spaz out over this. They can't. And even if they make a determination they're going to send you back, the people have legal rights. And oh, by the way, here's the odds. Trump's in office now. You come in 2026, okay? 5 years. That's 2031. So in 2031, J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio is probably going to be president. And you apply for citizenship, and they can't do anything to you then. So, I mean, that's also a factor. But yes, it is true that the government that hosts you can send you back anytime. But Western governments just don't do that unless you've committed fraud or the underlying conditions change. And so we've got 602,000 Venezuelans in this country right now under TPS. None of them are going home, even though they have no business being in this country because Nicolas Maduro is gone. They should go home. No one's going home. So it's not a genuine concern. I mean, it's legitimate that it's out there, but no one goes home. So does that help answer your question?
Yeah, I genuinely just wanted to ask because I can absolutely see. I don't think the Democrats are going to get into office. At least my opinion is probably not for the next 18 years. Because I see J.D. Vance, then I see Marco Rubio, and then I see Tulsi Gabbard.
I don't see that. That I don't see. But anyway, we have different analysis on that. So let me just stress something really quickly before I have to go here. Willy nilly just said, "Hi, Kerner. Were you saying that they don't send denial letters?" Nein, das habe ich überhaupt nicht gesagt. Wahnsinn. Ich habe gerade genau gesagt, dass die müssen den Brief hinschicken. Okay, I said that they have to send you a denial letter. If you're denied, they have to give you a letter. I didn't say they don't give you a letter. If you've been denied formally as a refugee, they send you a letter. They give you a letter of denial. They can't never, this isn't home affairs, okay? They have to give you a letter of denial. And to my knowledge, no one's ever got it, okay? All right, Stephen, I hate the Russian, but I've got to go pick up my
please, please.
I've got to go pick up my steamed crabs. I ordered them before the show because I have to do a Zoom session with some South African refugees at 4 p.m. and a filmmaker from the UK. So anyway, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Anything you want to say real quick before you go?
No, just thank you so much for having me and enjoy the steamed crabs.
I will try. They were good last time, but the time before they weren't so great. All right.
All right.
I'll let
Thank
you drop
you very
off.
much, Colonel.
Thanks. Bye, Donkey.
Thank you.
All right, folks.
Bye-bye.
Stephen ZA, who pops on the program there. Appreciate that. Let me go ahead and turn off my Zoom session here. Okay, so now I should be off camera. Whoops, you don't want that. Let's turn off that Zoom window. There we go. All right. And I'm back. Thank you so much, Stephen, for popping on. Thanks, everybody. Please be polite to my guest, folks. There's no reason to be rude. Franz says, watch a few content past. Thanks, Colonel. You earned a subscriber. Kudos, gents. All right, Alan says, please bear in mind that the education pass marks has dropped to 30%. Yeah, it's definitely different. Oh, that was, when did he do that? It was a while ago. And then, okay. Cool beans, guys. Thank you so much. I got to go. And Steven says, thanks for the chat and entertaining my battle. Yeah, no, it's fine. I enjoyed it. He's got a good radio voice, doesn't he? Dead sexy. Anyway, so my bromance is with the other Steven, Swanepoel, not with... Anyway, guys. All right, thanks for being here. We'll catch you later tonight for Night Owls. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done already. It actually does help the algorithm. All right, cheers.